Representative, maybe let's start with your just overall opinion on the Trump budget.
Good news, bad news. Good news for Hawaii, the Defense Department budget is increasing. Hawaii's economy is a two-legged stool, if you will, with tourism and defense spending. And defense spending is probably one of the biggest priorities of the administration, and Hawaii is one of the best places in the world for the defense of the whole Western uh, Pacific, if you will. So I think that's really good news for our economy. The bad news is I think there's a wake-up call for our delegation to kind of get on the Trump wagon. Right now they've been elbowing and not agreeing or actually moving with the president. But if we're going to stay the way we did with Inouye and Ikaka and with Obama, we've got to get our delegation on board to say, come on guys, start cooperating with the president to bring some of this money back in. One of my biggest concerns as a former Peace Corps volunteer and a former member of the United Nations is some of the State Department cuts hurt our soft power, and soft power in the Pacific is as important as military power. And I think some of the State Department cuts may be a little bit too much. But again, look, this is a first cut. This is discretionary spending. It's only 25% of the big picture. So the jury is still out on all of it. But I know for the defense section, it's going to be a great boon for the people of Hawaii.
Any other areas of concern other than the State Department?
Well, we want to make sure the economy goes to get things moving for taxation and getting the kitty topped off. But for the other parts of it, I think it's still too new. And remember, we've got a budget that just came down from the governor's office, which then the Council of Revenue said, oh, by the way, we just decreased the projection of the GET tax. We're going to be 250 million short. And earlier it was 800 million short. So we got to cut 500 to $1 billion worth of our budget. So we don't know if this budget is going to be what actually comes out of the end. And we haven't had so many years without a budget coming out of Washington. At least there's something as a target here that people can look at. But it looks like it's going to be a leaner, meaner America. And sometimes we got used to a lot of flack and sometimes not enough lean and mean kind of direction in the nation. But I think it'll work itself out. The sky is not going to fall. We'll work it through. And that's the whole process of dialoguing. But I would really encourage the delegation to get on with getting on with the Trump administration to bring some of that money back that Akaka and Inouye and Obama brought to us earlier.
Mm-hmm. You know that it's funny you mentioned Inouye and Akaka. The delegation were sending us statements all day about how they're gonna do everything they can to make sure Hawaii gets its fair share. Do you think our delegation has the chops up there?
But if you look at their press for the last 2 months, all they've been doing is poking their fingers in the eyes of the president. Now they say they're going to go and get Hawaii's fair share. I think that's a good wake-up call to change their tune. That, look guys, this is reality. We're translating this now into real politics. And they have to, well, they've been so used to being in the majority that this minority position is probably hard for them to take. But I think it's a wake-up call for all of us in Hawaii that let's get on board the Trump train and get on with it. The sky's not going to fall, and this is just the first budget round of discussions.
Do you think what happened yesterday with the judge's ruling helps our state at all or puts a target on us?
Well, I think it was the person with the least amount of money was paying the bill at the dinner at the restaurant, and Hawaii is so small without the wherewithal with the New York or the California people to lead that out. I'm not sure why we led, except for our favorite son, President Obama. I thought it was a good gesture for him that Hawaii was leading this, but as I said many times, I think my constituents would prefer the potholes to be filled rather than this 150,000 to 500,000 to be spent on a pushing back of the Trump administration's travel ban.
Anything else on the budget you want to mention that I didn't ask?
We are almost $20 trillion in debt. This budget reflects the reality of how indebted we are in America. Nobody likes to cut the budget. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, but when we're sacrificing the future of our children and our children's children to the indebtedness, we're not going to turn our country into Greece. But if we continue spending without responsibility, these budgets will be forced upon us before calamity comes. And this is just, let's talk about it, let's reason together. But the indebtedness shows that, we're going to have to get a control on spending, and we haven't had a control on spending. So this is something, a sign in the right direction. And how it comes out is what the whole adversarial system is between different parties and different parts of the Congress. And in the end, it'll work out. Look, we're Americans. We know how to figure stuff out. What if it doesn't work? We don't do it. If it works, we do it. So I'm encouraged by it, but I think this is just round one, and you have to stay tuned to what's going to follow from here.
Very good. Thank you.
Good.
Good.
Quick two